Okay, so we are in the car today. We're gonna go to Kansas City. Yes, we see you, Savannah. Savannah says hi. We are going to Kansas City to go look at Class A motorhomes. I think there's like 3 dealerships that carry Class A and only 2 are open today. It's a 2.5 hour drive. So we took the 2 hours here, eating lunch at Mexican food, and then going to Belton, Missouri to go look at some Class A's. So hopefully we have something to show you. Shop with Rocky looks like. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, well, I'll cool you off in a second. 7 different types of salsa, hot carrots, about 1 million napkins, and of course and sweet tea. We're just waiting on our food. All right, well, it's the morning after since going to the dealership yesterday, and we have lots of thoughts on that. But first, shower. Ta-da! All right, now that I'm all nice and clean and I got my hair did, let's go find a comfy place to sit and talk about what in the heck happened yesterday. Okay, all that walking around and we're back in my room, which is the cleanest and most well lit. But hi. Welcome. So what happened yesterday? It was a complete mess. So let me just give a little quick rundown. We are a family of 7. We have 5 kids, and I have always homeschooled. We had 5 kids in 8 years, and our youngest is now 3. So you can do the math if you really want to figure out how old they are now. My husband returned to doing union trade work. He's a union tradesman after taking a 5-year hiatus and doing law enforcement. We live in a new area now, a very rural area, which we absolutely love. However, for him to stay busy throughout the year, he's been having to chase work. So for 6 months over the last year, we went on the road in a 34-foot rear kitchen 5th wheel with no bunkhouse and our 5 kids. It was a little tight, and it was what we could afford at the time, but we absolutely fell in love with it. We really enjoyed being together in tight quarters, seeing new places. My husband and I have wanderer's hearts. We've always wanted to travel and go places, but we've been limited by income, by jobs, by kids, all that kind of stuff. So we knew it was something we wanted to get back on the road doing. We have a house here in rural Missouri that's a fixer-upper that we paid cash for, And we came back in the wintertime to go ahead and get it fixed up so we could get back on the road, sell it. We're done. We're done with this place. It's been fun, but it's been a lot of work. And right now my husband is working in another state 3 hours away. And we really miss him. And, you know, there's a lot of promises that happen in construction that don't ever come true. So, or they do come true, but not till a lot later. And we're basically just kind of waiting for him to be back here or for us to be on the road with him. And we're not going to wait for all that stuff to happen. We're going to get on the road quicker. It's hard waiting for work to fall in your lap, and we'd rather just take it in our hands and go and chase the work. So, well, my little dog Ruby. Say hi, Ruby. Hi. Ruby's with me. Anyways, so what happened yesterday? We live 2 hours from Kansas City. We're pretty far out here in rural Missouri. And we had looked up online Class A dealers, Kansas City, Missouri. We know right now, since we've lived in a travel trailer, fifth wheel, that what we want to look for is a Class A. It's something we'd really like to look at. We've looked at tons of fifth wheels. I mean, tons of fifth wheels. You name it, we've seen it. But we decided to go and look at Class A's yesterday. So we got up somewhat early. We got out the door by 9, and we got about 30 minutes down the road, and we had to stop for a potty break. And when we stopped for the potty break to look for the address to navigate to this dealership, we realized that the dealership was closed on a Saturday that we were planning on going to. So we had to make a plan B, which was find a different dealership. And we went ahead and we looked at this different dealership. But what we later learned is that they are updating their website. So they didn't have any of their rigs on the website. So I couldn't see what they had, but I knew they had their hours listed and I had an address, and we were already 30 minutes down the road. So we were like, let's just go for it. If I would have seen their inventory on their website, we probably wouldn't have gone. I couldn't tell what they had new or used. I couldn't tell what brands they carried. I couldn't tell what the range of their price tags were. And let's just say it was a little out of our budget. So we got all the way down there and we went and had lunch, which was great, which was fine. And we got to the dealership, and if you know anything about names, brands, all that kind of stuff, they carried Newmar, Tiffin, and Winnebago. But they didn't carry like the low end stuff. They carried all high end stuff. And even though I felt like we dressed really nicely, I mean, I had my hair did, I had makeup on, I had my big wedding ring, we were dressed nice, my kids didn't have any holes in their clothes, I was wearing a sparkly purse, we were not wearing enough money. And we walked into the dealership and they were very nice, and they didn't have a salesman ready for us. So they said, let's go ahead and call you one over from the Freightliner side. So they called a salesman over. And the minute this guy walked in the door, we could tell it was not going to be a good fit. He wore his money. So he actually had the same name as my husband, which is Rocky. So that was unique. But my husband is a Rocky, and this guy was a Rockwell. This salesman told us basically that he sells Freightliner trucks, high-end Freightliner trucks. Those are trucks for hauling, cargo loads. And he didn't sell RVs, but there wasn't any salesmen available, so he was going to try to help us. He asked us what our budget was, and at this point we were like, okay, like we really can't afford any of these, so we're going to just throw out this fake number because we're basically just here to see Class A's. Like we just want to know floor plans, we want to know layouts, we want to know what 2 slides look like. 2 slide outs in the living area look like compared to 1. We want to see if they have a bunkhouse so we can see what that feels like. We just want to see and experience floor plans and layouts. We don't really care the name brand. We don't care if there's marble on the floor or laminate versus granite on the countertop. We just want to see floor plans and layouts and lengths and stuff like that. So we threw out this hugely inflated number, and we could tell that the 6-digit number we threw out was still not enough. So the guy's like, well, obviously you're looking at used. And we're like, yeah, I guess we are. But we're open to seeing new. But he's like, I'm going to take you over to this side of the lot, which was not the front part of the dealership. It was back behind a fence. So he walked us over there. He was not open to us asking any kind of questions. He kept just responding with, I don't sell these. And we're like, okay, well, you work here. Like, hopefully you have a little bit more knowledge than just trucks. But he just really didn't. So he took us to go see several rigs, and we walked inside, and, you know, we got to see some things. He was at this point only looking for used stuff. And even the stuff that we looked at that was 10 years old was still very much outside of our budget. I mean, these were high-end, beautiful, beautiful rigs. At one point we walked into a rig, and I could tell that there was like a smoke alarm or something. The battery was dying. It was that beep, 30-second pause, beep. And my kids kept jumping into the front seats, to drive the steering wheel. Well, he kind of like yelled at my 3-year-old, not yelled, but he was like, oh, don't touch that, because he thought the beep was from her touching stuff. And then she got upset and started crying. And so it was kind of just downhill after. And this is the point in the story where I want to pause for a moment and say, at this point, after the baby started crying and he thought we were kind of destroying the rigs, I decided it wouldn't be a good time to videotape anything that we're doing. My full attention was set on making sure we wouldn't upset him, thinking that we were upsetting his inventory. In no way were my kids acting in a way that I would be upset. I think I have pretty well-behaved kids. Their feet weren't on the seat. They weren't hanging on anything. They were, sitting on couches and just excitedly moving their body parts. They weren't jumping. They weren't climbing on anything they shouldn't have been. They were merely just sitting in the seat and turning the steering wheel and possibly maybe touching a button. But again, it wasn't anything that myself as a mother would have been like, oh my gosh, you guys are behaving so badly. This was a gentleman that just felt like we were a little underclass for his high-class style. That we looked at a couple more rigs. The only one that had a bunkhouse, the slide was in. So we couldn't even tell what was going on. After we looked at, I want to say like 5 rigs, he's like, well, let me take you back over to my side of the dealership and I can look up numbers on these, because their website was being fixed and they couldn't find any of the prices even on their website, which is why we couldn't see what kind of rigs they had before we went there. So we walk over to his side of the dealership. Yeah, my husband goes and sits in his back office, and I'm like, I'm just going to sit outside here with the kids. So Rocky went back with Rocky to go talk numbers and to find out, even what their lowest end thing was, how much it cost. And this may be TMI for you, but I kind of think it explains a lot about this dealership. I went into the restroom, and so here's the TMI part. I'm on my period, and I went into the bathroom, and there was not a single trash can in any of the women's stalls. Now, for men that don't understand, women's bathrooms always have trash cans in the stalls so that we can throw away sanitary supplies. You're not supposed to flush them. And there was not any of that. This is a fancy dealership that sells $1 million rigs, and they couldn't even provide a $1 trash can in the women's stalls to throw away sanitary stuff. And that to me kind of said a lot. Maybe it doesn't to you, but to me, it says a lot. So I left the bathroom and I actually went up to the receptionist desk. The receptionist wasn't there, but you could see it more than likely was a female. There was pictures of kids taped to the bottom of the computer monitor and like flower pens and stuff like that. And I wrote on the back of a business card, there needs to be trash cans in every women's bathroom stall. Please support female customers. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of crazy. Maybe I'm a little loco, but if they sell $1 million rigs, surely they can support female customers. Surely they have women coming in here. Surely they have women that come into this dealership. Surely the receptionist has thought there needs to be trash cans in the bathroom. I don't know. But when I do leave a Yelp review, because I will include that in my review. So anyways, we ended up leaving the dealership. He didn't ask us really what we were looking for. He didn't tell us that a salesman would get our information and call us. He he just really didn't care. He was just doing his job because he was there and someone asked him to do it. So we left, and it was very interesting, but one of my kids said, God, he just seemed really angry at us. He just didn't seem very happy. So we looked up another dealership, RV dealership, and I typed in Class A, Kansas City, and we found another dealership, and they had like 5 or 6 used Class A's listed on their website. Went to this other dealership, and we got there, and they had 0 Class A's. But I will tell you the name of this dealership because I thought they were wonderful, and they still took us all throughout, to show us what they had. We're like, hey, we already drove 2.5 hours to be here. Show us what you got. Maybe you'll surprise us with something. So it's Unlimited RV in Kansas City, and they were amazing. They have consignment stuff. So they have quite a big used inventory, a lot of different stuff. 0 Class A's, but they do get them in, and they had new stuff. So they showed us some toy haulers and some front living and some rear living and some mid bunks. And we looked at a lot of stuff. They kept joking that we looked at everything in the dealership because it felt like we did. We got some great ideas, but at the end of the day, we're not looking at a towable unit. We're looking to drive something. That's just what we're looking at right now. So we got their information. They took ours. We talked to the finance manager. His name's J.E. We talked to the owner. Our salesman's name was Dominic. I mean, they were just how a dealership could be. Just absolutely wonderful, amazing. We talked to the service guys. The kids played on the side-by-sides. It was just a great experience. Unfortunately, that's not what we're looking at. We're not looking at towables. So that was kind of how our day went. It was pretty much a complete bust. We've been to other high-end dealerships with towables and kind of had similar experiences where we didn't wear enough money. If you can afford to go to these places and that's what you're looking at, great. I don't think you'll have a problem. But I kind of think they could see through us. I don't know. Maybe we're trashy. I have no idea.
Maybe I'm a little low.
I don't think our first experience would have been so bad if we would have been the type of people that had the money that they were selling at this dealership. The reason we like going to dealerships, even though we more than likely will buy used from private party because that's where we will get the most savings, is because it's a place where we can go to look at a large number of stuff with a lot of options without having to bother sellers and get their hopes up. It's also a fun outing for our family. Our kids love it. They love climbing in and out of rigs. They love imagining living in things. RV shopping is a lot of fun, and I don't want to deter you from not going and looking, even if you're never going to buy an RV. It's a great outing to have with your family. It's a lot of fun for the kids to climb in and out, to imagine where they're going to sleep or imagine experiences or just dreaming. It's a great dreamer's field trip, and it's free, even if the sales guy made you feel like crap. But anyways, hopefully next time we take you RV shopping, we'll have some better things to show you, and maybe we'll even buy one. Who knows? Anyways, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.